Vogelmann Marketing, Paralyzed. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and all the ships and sea, welcome to today's episode of the Marketing Happy Hour. I am Dr. Christopher Vogelmann of Dr. Vogelmann, as well as our joint agency, Epic Win Agency. And to my, well, actually, he's to my left, stage right.
I'm here.
Yeah. Pick a finger.
I'm John Paduchak.
Yes, you are.
Epic Win Agency. Our joint venture.
Our joint venture. And below us,
below
us, not engulfed in smoke and flames, is
Dr. K.
Dr. K Von K.
Hello, good to see you again. So yes, I'm glad that my vacation got canceled. I canceled it so I can be here again with you guys, having a fun conversation. This is Coach K. I am an implementation coach. I help entrepreneurs get things done with, basically dear procrastination, die kind of a situation. So simplify that zone.
You're never alone with simplify.zone.
Thank you.
And you're going to enjoy today's conversation.
Yeah, in particular.
I just saw the title and I have forgotten it. So I'm unprepared. Let's do this.
We referred to it as paralyzed marketing or marketing paralysis, the fear of going forth and doing anything, or the fear of doing the wrong thing because you are afraid of ridicule, making a fool of yourself, or stuff not working out. And I've been thinking about this a lot lately because I've had several projects that have gone up in flames. Sorry, Kayvon, for the up in flames reference. But
I give you that one.
Yeah, that was actually unintentional. And I think that, the more that we dive into this, the more I found myself, in fact, in the last several years, being stuck on things like branding, the right colors, the right logo, the right this, the right that. So before I could release anything into the world, it had to be totally perfect. And so I think some of this may fit right into your particular zone of brilliance, Kayvon. And I want to talk to John a little bit first because I have a funny feeling we'll be nipping at your heels, Dr. K, for most of this broadcast.
I don't know about that.
No?
I got a lot to say on the subject.
Okay, start talking.
So, no, it's funny because this is something that has actually come up a lot lately, and we've actually talked about a lot lately, amongst ourselves anyways. And I've heard a lot of other fellow marketers say how difficult things were during COVID and how they made a lot of changes and twists and turns and to navigate their way through it. And that, for some of them, it was a super successful time because they made the right pivots. And for some of them, it was a little frustrating because they made some wrong pivots on the way to making the right pivots. So I thought that this is a great time to talk about this.
I would tend to agree. So, hey, for those of you who are watching on the replay, I'd like you to, I tried to do an Instagram live right now, talk about imperfect action, and the whole thing fell apart because I have pictures of my sister after her dental work. And I realized I can't share that on social media. Yeah. So anyway, that's a whole different story. So you Instagram live people, you're waiting right now for me to start this thing. The pivot, what's interesting about the whole COVID thing, too, is that for a lot of people in the pandemic, it actually improved their businesses.
It did.
And I found that to be quite brilliant, actually, that in the midst of chaos and confusion, people found a degree of clarity. So, Dr. Kayvon, what do you have to say about the paralysis of analysis with respect to marketing?
Yeah, I have been on both sides of the table.
Yeah.
I'm similar to you guys. I have managed to get on my own way or in my own way. I don't know how we say it, to get things, the right color and the right design and this and that. Yet anytime something was launched or shipped or all of that, progress happened. Even with the little amount of shipping, it still pays off for many, many times, years later. But if something is not launched, doesn't matter how perfect it is, nothing is gonna come out of it. So yeah, it has been scary. It has been painful. There has been a lot of internal anger towards myself. Yet at the same time, the more I help people with that, the easier it gets for myself.
Mm-hmm.
So that could be the trick. For example, I am a big believer in the way that you do anything is the way you do everything. So I try to be my best version in one area, so it naturally oozes in another area. So with the few little things that I work on, my business, other businesses that I help, I manage about 4 different inboxes at least in a day, just email. And there are Slack channels and other things. I'm happy to say in the past long while, I have been at inbox 0 with all of them. So I have 0 email in my personal, 0 email in different businesses. So that whole being on top of things and addressing things as they show up has been very helpful in making progress, in making projects happen. So that's the quick response to that.
I just want to say hello to our Instagram people. You're being pinged right now, so I like to try this experiment in the marketing happy hour by bringing in the folks on Instagram. But what's interesting is Instagram is saying that they're struggling to ping all the followers.
Oh.
So imperfect action can often result in imperfect results.
Yes.
Or a perfect mess.
Perfect mess. Yeah, which explains I almost didn't come to this whole thing today because I managed to fall on the stairs today and my feet were just like cut up and bruised beyond belief. But I decided that the show must go on no matter what. So if I fade quickly here and suddenly you see me drop over, then you'll know what's going on.
You're playing hurt.
Due to loss of blood.
The loss of blood. Well, no, fortunately, not a lot of blood other than underneath the surface. So that was the most of the blood. Anyway, but there's a doctor in the house, so I feel comfortable. Actually, 2 doctors in the house. So, but self-diagnosis is a dangerous thing, and that's why we often turn to coaches like Dr. Kayvon or to
as
John
long as you don't
Paduchak.
start treatment on yourself or self-surgery or any of that, we're good.
I used to say that you could have this. What was the thing? It would where somebody would have a do-it-yourself appendectomy kit, and I wanted to call it the suture self.
Ah, that's a good name. I like it.
I don't know if people really like that. Oh, people are waving. Hello.
That's clever. That's clever. Very clever.
Welcome to the Marketing Happy Hour. This time on Instagram.
A little funny story about suture.
Yeah.
So a few months ago, my girlfriend on a piece of, I think it was a yoga pants or something, there was a little tear, and I said, I'll fix it for you. So I took my needle and sewing kit, and I just fixed it, and it was nice, perfect. And she said, I didn't know you could sew really well. I said, I used to sew people.
I used to sew people.
I sew live people as opposed to I see dead people.
Live people.
I used to, babies and everything. So this is not a problem.
This is nothing.
Yes, I forgot about that.
Just remember, if you can sew babies, you can sew yoga pants.
I used to sew cows. Does that count?
Oh, there you go. Yes.
Oh yeah. John can sew cows. I thought you could only sow seeds as a farmer. No. I was wrong.
I'm afraid not.
I'm afraid not. No. I'm not going to go for that bad joke. Anyway, but I think so. We talk a little bit about the branding, and I've been listening once again to the audiobook of Chris Ducker's, which is Youpreneur, which I like that. In fact, the whole concept of doing branding as you. Mm-hmm. And then it doesn't matter if you are indeed the brand over time and you change businesses, you just take people along for the ride, and nobody can do you other than you. As you say, John, you be you. You be you.
You be you. Yeah. You do you. You be you.
Mm-hmm.
Be you. And UB40 has the song Red, Red Wine. So getting back to that, I mean, what do you think are the top reasons why people are paralyzed to do anything with respect to marketing? I think for me at least, there's a sense of self-worth that who the hell would ever want to listen to me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear that from a lot of people.
You just said it for me.
I don't think anybody has ever. I think anybody has ever talked about it as clearly or helpful as Stephen Pressfield in his book, The War of Art. And he did it. He starts with something that it seemed very simple, but it was very helpful. And he named this negative force resistance with capital R. And he said, every time you want to do something positive, even like helping somebody else, building a business, getting chiseled abs, resistance will be there, right? But by naming it resistance, all the other faces of it or manifestation of it, they were all in the same category. So one day it shows up as procrastination. Another day shows up as imposter syndrome. Another day as perfectionism. Doesn't matter what this, what the word he used, this protean monster has many, many faces. But doesn't matter what face shows up today, it's the same thing. So suddenly it's simplified, the whole dealing with all of the negative force called resistance. And now you have one enemy, one way to approach it. If you guys remember from that hedgehog concept from Jim Collins's book, do you remember that?
No.
So Jim Collins, I think it was in Good to Great. I think in one of those two main books, he talks about the fox and a hedgehog. That fox is very smart, very cunning. Every day can come up with a new way to trick the hedgehog to hunt it. The hedgehog, but the hedgehog has one defense, just turns into a spiky ball. So the fox goes through all of these efforts of coming up with a new way, and he has that one defense that works every time, or almost every time, most of the time. So the hedgehog is doing one thing and doing it really well, simplifying it to one thing. Now that you have the enemy called resistance, all you have to do is one method to deal with one enemy and go from there. I love how he starts. He has a shorter book called Do the Word, which is excerpts from The War of Art. And the way that he starts that book is, if I am not going to, I do my best to do it precisely. In the field of the self, there is a knight and a dragon. You are the knight. Resistance is the dragon.
Yeah. Dr. Amen has a book about the dragon, slaying your inner dragons. It's very interesting. I think the book is called Your Brain or Your Mind is Always Thinking. Your brain is always thinking. Yeah, it's always awake. And so it's just a question of how much we become aware of those inner dragons. I think, ultimately you're just looking at fear, period. And so you can call it resistance, which is great. I think, the courage requires you to move through fear as opposed to being fearless, because being fearless could make you stupid. Like, oh yeah, nice tiger. Let me shake paws with you as he chews off your arm. So
that could be bad.
So as far as I think Pressfield's book is one I really want to read. It's been mentioned to me on numerous occasions, and I've never gone into it.
Which one?
Pressfield's book, The War of Art.
It's a must read for every entrepreneur out there. And you just mentioned courage. May I add something to that?
Sure.
Thank you. I remember I was in a meeting in one of the strategic coach meetings, the 10X program, and Dan Sullivan was talking about what he calls the 4C framework. That many times when we are, I'm going to put it in Pressfield language. When we are dealing with resistance, we think we need courage to get started. But Dan Sullivan says, actually, that's not where you start. You start with a commitment to the result that you want to create, committing to the work that you want to do, and commitment. Because most people say, hey, because another one of the faces of resistance is that I don't know how to do this. I need to go learn how to do. I'm not even qualified yet to do this kind of work. So it's that idea of I don't have the right capabilities or confidence. So some people want to start with courage. Some people like to start with confidence or capability. But the way he puts it is that you first start with commitment. And commitment requires courage, in my opinion. Yes. Well, I believe
courage
it's
to commit.
it's a two-way thing. For him, is commitment leads to courage,
Yeah.
and courage, doing the work and actually creating something, gives you the capability, which provides you with the confidence to commit to the next level and have the courage for the next level, capabilities of the next level, and confidence of the next level. So that's the way that his 4Cs work: commitment, courage, capability, confidence.
I'm not capable of committing to that 4Cs. And so when it comes, so the marketing campaigns is another thing that people have trouble with often, that they don't even want to send out the first email of a 7-email series. How do you overcome that? Are you committed, Dr. K, to your email series? Are you, and if you start something in a marketing plan, are you capable of changing it based upon the response or the lack of response?
Yeah, changing it based on response or lack of response is easier for me.
Yeah.
Rather than getting started. So you mentioned newsletter, email.
Yeah.
From a bunch of weeks ago, I have been sending a newsletter every Wednesday.
Right.
And that commitment gets me going. So, and sometimes, I'm done with preparing the newsletter. It's ready to go on Monday. Some weeks, like this week, I am halfway done with the writing, but by the end of today, I will finish it. It will go out today. So this commitment to Wednesdays suddenly brings out the courage to write something and share my thoughts, which brings another version of me, which is the right kind of creative to do that work. So I see how that work in action. At the same time, there have been many things that I thought I'm going to do that, but it wasn't a real commitment and they never happened.
Yeah, we've been pretty committed to doing the marketing happy hour since March of last year.
Yeah.
We called it the Don't Dream It, Stream It, because we were focused on live video marketing.
At first.
And it's working.
And now look where we are.
Now look where we are. Most of you, of course, watching on replay. So
That's all right.
But that's all right.
Typical anyways.
Yeah.
I think pretty much people have gotten to know us. Whether they like us or trust us is another story.
I know. I mean, we see that a lot with webinars and everything else too. The changes to shorter formats, power webinars and 6-minute webinars and all of that. So it's just makes sense.
Yeah.
Good attention spans.
I think there was also some people are just paralyzed with the idea of trying anything new. I know that I'm in a course of creating with a number of my friends, creating content for other coaches, and it's fascinating to watch us all dip our toes into Instagram Reels and into stories and a number of other things with which we have limited to no degree of comfort. So.
And it's funny in a technological marketing world that we live in. It's wow, where'd he go? We lost Dr. V. Anyways, he'll come back.
Much blood loss again.
I know.
He fell down.
he fell over and he can't get up.
Yeah.
No, but I was going to say, Kayvon, in the technological world that we live in anyways, it's like we could wake up tomorrow and a whole bunch of stuff that we knew today has completely changed.
Yeah.
Not completely changed, because when you run out of bandwidth, the family came home from a shopping trip and immediately the bandwidth dipped to next to nothing. So sorry, Instagram, I cut you off.
I thought you were going to change the password every time before the live stream.
Yeah, that would be great. That's such a good suggestion. I'm so sorry that I forgot to implement that. I wasn't committed to that, Kayvon.
That's all right.
Nor did I have the courage to actually go ahead and do it.
A few more times that you lose the bandwidth, the pain is going to be high enough for you to do.
Yeah, I have to reach a certain pain threshold, and today it's just physical pain. As soon as I get to the emotional pain, I think I will be forced to take action. So,
yeah. So, John, you were saying something.
Yeah, so I was just saying that technologically, so many things are changing all the time. That's another side, I think, that's a fear for a lot of people. They're afraid of the technology, the huge changes happening all the time.
Yeah.
And that someday they're just going to come and not be able to figure something out because it's been changed overnight. Well,
and people are afraid of the Google slap or the Facebook slap. That really, that hurt, but it took my mind off the foot. But I was listening just a little while ago too to the whole notion of building your business on rented land, and I think that's one of the most dangerous things. Our mutual friend James Schramko talks about owning the race course, and why would you build your place on rented land? At least in John's case, he can roll away with the RV.
Exactly. Wherever I'm renting.
Wherever you're renting. But I mean, getting people off of social media. I think one of the great fears that people have is like, oh, what happens if Google slaps me or Facebook, gets rid of my account? John and I both have had ad accounts disappear or get shut down, and that can create a certain amount of paralysis. I'm like, now what do I do?
Oh yeah, I mean, even to the point that there's no support at Facebook whatsoever. The only thing I could do is open a claim with whoever my funding was through to get my money back.
Yeah.
Because, somebody ran ads through my account. But I was going to say too, that I see a big rise in work groups, workspaces, mastermind groups, accountability groups. That's another big way to help with paralysis of, getting stuck. And then, of course, we're not all specialists in anything, in everything. I want to say, and so it's easy for us to go out and say, you know what, that's not in my zone of brilliance. I need help with simplifying things. I'll go hire Kayvon because that's his zone of brilliance. Or I'm not great at graphics. I'll go find a graphics person or whatever it might be. So
or an amateur Kayvon. Canva and Canva sound remarkably similar.
They sound remarkably similar.
You guys said something earlier that got me thinking. So, the rented land, the what if this happens, what if that happens.
Yeah,
I think that those are more of a approach issues rather than being real issues. It's more of a perceived fear. Because it's a matter of building a business with the mindset of fireproofing it or always firefighting situations. Mm-hmm. Because those are two different ways of building a business. So if we build a business on a rented land, like everything is on Facebook, and something happens to Facebook or our account, everything goes. But it's not Facebook's issue. It's our problem that we have everything on Facebook.
Yes.
Well, right? And then we didn't pull people's emails off of Facebook.
Yes. Or if we have only one way of lead generation, which is ads on Google and nothing else, again, that's right. Not, it's not that disaster happened to me and poor me. It's, well, we were not fireproofing this business by having multiple sources of traffic and that sort of thing. So it's not that rented land is bad or good, or having your own platform is bad or good. They both can be done right or wrong to help or hinder you. Everything can go up or down. Bad things will happen. It's not a if they happen. It's just a matter of when they happen. So building a business that is not reliant on one source of clients, one target market, one way of advertising. As Dan Kennedy says, the most dangerous number in business is one. Having one sort of anything. I remember for a long time I had one big client. That's very scary.
That is,
right?
That is
so you don't want to do that. So I think there is no absolute, and a combination of what works now and always having a backup process or all of that.
I disagree because I've tasted absolute. It's actually a nice vodka.
Yes, yeah.
Well, I disagree with that because I've never tasted absolute.
You've never tasted it. Okay. But to tell me there is no absolute.
Is there?
There is absolute, yes.
Yeah. Not absolute vodka.
Well, no, see, that's what's in my head right now. I do anything to dull the pain.
So, including self-medication.
Self-medication, baby. So when it comes to this is an interesting thing for me because this has actually paralyzed me for a number of years, which is the whole concept of personal brand versus business brand. How do you differentiate them? How do you put them out into the world? And what do you do when one of them goes bad, in particular, when your business brand tanks? Any strategies or solutions?
So what is the question?
Well, because the question is, how do you differentiate your personal and your business brand? And what do you do? How do you pivot or how do you recover when your business brand goes bad?
What do you mean by business brand goes bad?
Let's say your business, your company perhaps has something that did not go well in marketing. You created a program that tanked. You invested a lot of money in a lot of things. Or let's say, for example, in the e-commerce world, which is where we have experience, we actually had physical products in which we were crowded out of the market, and our names, my wife and I had our personal names attached to that brand. Say, and so as that business, which brought a lot of income initially, as that business tanked, it was a delicate dance to kind of step away from it a little bit. Maybe that's more a case of reputation management or not putting all your eggs in one basket.
I think it's a matter of the skill of recovery.
Talk about scale of recovery. I'm interested in that.
Well, for one thing, we have impractical or maybe flat out wrong thinking models. For example, I just a few years ago, I learned about this concept called the sunk cost fallacy. So for viewers that they may not be familiar with that, the sunk cost is a cost that is already gone, but somehow we still include that in our decision making. Here's an example. Let's say you want to go to a concert, Bruce Springsteen. You got your tickets from months ahead, and you are ready to go. You leave the house, and on the way, you get this text message from the event venue that Bruce has laryngitis. He's not gonna be singing. There's this other singer that he's going to sing his songs, and it's going to be a good concert, but it's not Bruce. What's funny?
No, just the idea of another singer is going to come and sing his songs. Don't worry, we got it covered.
Yeah. Well, you know,
it's a cover band.
Bruce
It's
the other singer you don't really like. So you paid, I don't know, $150 a ticket. Do you still go to the concert?
I really don't know. $150 a ticket. I don't know. That's a good question.
I'm going for the refund.
Yeah, but I'm talking about that night.
Would you still go to the concert that night? Yeah. No, because I'm afraid. The reason I won't go is because I'm afraid that if I show up to the concert, they won't refund my ticket later.
Okay, let's take the refund option out.
Why?
You got it from somebody from the street.
I would.
Who was she? Who was this one? Who was the street person?
Well, let's get back to the example.
Okay, sorry.
So the idea is that you say, wait, I already have paid $150 for the ticket.
Paid $150.
I might as well go. Even though it's not Bruce and it's the singer that you don't like. But the other way of thinking is, well, I'm not going to see Bruce anyway. So why am I going to spend the next 2 or 3 hours not enjoying myself? We're out. We might as well go for dinner. So that $150, whichever decision that you make, is already gone.
Right.
It's not that you get some of it back. So you see this a lot, that people continue working on the same strategy because we have been doing this for 3 years. What about, like, are we going to throw all of that 3 years out? I've spent so much time and money and effort on this. But if it's not working, stop it, because what you have spent has nothing to do with what's going to happen in the future.
Yeah.
Right.
But because we attach that to the future, and we don't want to think that we have wasted time, money, and energy, we include that in our decision making. But it's already gone. It's a sunk cost, right? So that's the moment of one of the thinkings or mental models in the moment of recovery. When something goes bad, how easy it is for me to let it go and not consider things that they don't make a difference anyway. That cost is already gone.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to continue this discussion more about sunk costs, but we've actually sunk a full half hour already, which is amazing. And we're going to Clubhouse. I'm starting the room. shortly here. It's fascinating because I guess it's the whole concept of cutting your losses and moving on. And in the e-commerce business, that's what I failed to do for a while. I was like, oh no, if we just hang on a little bit more, if we have a few more Facebook ads, if we do a few more videos, we're going to recover. It's going to be great. It's going to be wonderful. And I probably should have cut and run at least a year before I did.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, we're realizing that action is necessary when you're doing any sort of marketing and in any sort of a business. And we're going to continue our action over to the House of Clubs. Those of you who are watching on replay, please give us a little hashtag replay. If you have any comments or questions or suggestions, we're always open to helping to put together broadcasts of anything that interests you. And John, what about that?
Exactly. No, we're always open to that.
We're open. There, that's the House of Clubs.
There it is.
Come on over to Clubhouse. We have the same title here, more or less. It still says Paralyzed Marketing.
Marketing paralysis.
Marketing paralysis?
Paralyzed marketing, yeah.
Yeah, it does that. Well, we also often talk about the paralysis of analysis. So we don't analyze anymore. We're going to cut this out right now. And tune in next week, same bad time, same bad channel, for our version of the Marketing Happy Hour.